Hi, this is Baiyu, and I'm a singer-songwriter. You're watching Channel APA. I was born into it, I guess. My parents were both musicians. My dad is a flute player, bamboo flute player. It's a Chinese instrument, and my mom sings, and that's actually how they met. They met in a band while they were in college, and so I kind of grew up with it. And just listening to my mom when I was little, I had just always thought she was an amazing vocalist. And I was like, why aren't you famous, Mom? You're awesome. You're just like those people that I see on TV. But she never just really got into it. But growing up, I was just surrounded by tons of music and great musicians, and just kind of fell into it. My love just grew from there. I guess it's in my genes. I basically just make, whatever makes me feel good. A lot of times I do write about, things that are very personal to me. Actually, that's usually the case. And, before, when I first came to the United States, I came in the 90s. I listened a lot to Mariah Carey, Boyz II Men, TLC, and so that kind of built up the foundation for what I felt like was really good R&B music. But going forward, I started listening to a little more rock, a little more country even, and just some international sounds as well. And it's really whatever I'm listening to at the time, coming from other artists, as well as just whatever I'm feeling at the time. So I can't really put my music in a box. I basically just write whatever feels good to me, and really whatever comes out, whatever is real, whatever I'm feeling at the time, whatever is a part of my story overall. So I bet I got you guys, because that's actually not a real music video. I've actually never ever met Ryan Leslie. So basically how the idea started was I was listening to his album in the car, and I just thought, this is an amazing song. It's an awesome track, but for some reason it was actually just a bonus track on his album. And I just thought to myself, how fun would it be if I could do a collaboration with him and do some sort of a duet. And so, it's not like I'm gonna just call up Ryan Leslie. I don't have his phone number and say, Ryan, can we do a song together? So basically, I decided to go into Pro Tools, chop up the song, and just make my own duet out of it. And then after that, it kind of turned out pretty good. So I figured, I had all the video equipment myself. Why not do a music video? Take some of his old videos, chop it up, see if I can get his lips to match, and hopefully I made it work. And just see if I can make a video and see how people would receive it. Fortunately, it kind of went viral. A lot of people thought it was real. Some people didn't. But that's basically how it started. I kind of just wanted a base to go off of and get creative, from that end. I do all my own. Well, I actually have someone helping me film because, even though it's just really pressing a button, but someone does help me film, but I do all the editing and I do all the scene selections and lighting and all that stuff. I think it's fun. I think being like a creative person overall, you're into that stuff. So Sweet Misery was, after one video, it's always, you gotta get started. After one video, I felt a lot more confident about creating music videos myself. Sweet Misery, the song actually came about because this awesome UK production duo came up to me, and Farron, who is their manager, he approached me about doing a song with one of their tracks. Wow, I just stuttered. That was really bad. He approached me with doing a song with one of their tracks. The Soundmasters production tracks that I listened to were all pretty awesome, and one really stood out to me, and it was Sweet Misery, just because it was like kind of techno and kind of R&B and kind of pop at the same time, and it also sort of reminded me of a lot of the independent European artists that I've listened to, and so I felt like, why not write to something that's a little different, And unfortunately, it is sort of from experience, the lyrics and everything like that. But basically, after we recorded the song, I recorded it in Hawaii. I just decided to go around and pick out a couple locations and shoot the video. Everybody who's in the video is local Hawaiian. All the scenes are very reminiscent of how I feel about the island, and it just went from there. I guess it's hard to sort of describe the creative process, but that's how it was. I think I can get a little too intellectual sometimes. I overthink things, but I think that's just me as a person. And unfortunately or fortunately with pop music, a lot of it's just really simple, and I feel like sometimes if you get a little too metaphorical or a little too deep into your lyrics, you're just losing people. So I end up having to just not even simplify the words, but simplify the melody sometimes. But I actually feel like it's a great challenge to to have, because sometimes it's not that complicated. A lot of emotions are fairly simple, and to really sort of get the idea out to your audience and really be able to convey what you're feeling, sometimes it's really interesting to see if you can simplify that into a pop song or an R&B song, and make it relatable to other people. So I actually have a ton of stuff going on. Obviously, music is like my first and foremost. I love music. That's something that's always my foundation. But in terms of upcoming projects, I'm developing a graphic novel character with Shredded Press. And so I'm gonna be a superhero, guys. You gotta watch out for me. It's gonna be called, well, the working title is The Lena Lee Chronicles, and I'm gonna be this detective who's in a town called Utopia Royale. And that's actually gonna lend itself also to a short film series. Aside from that, I'm also working on a short film in Kauai. I'm only gonna be there for about a month, and then I'm heading back to New York, but we're shooting not a short film actually, a feature film. So that's gonna be tough in about 2-3 weeks time. That's gonna be called Temporary Paradise. I'm playing one of the leads in there. And in terms of music, I'm just writing constantly. I'm trying to get as much writing in as possible, as much recording in as possible, and I actually just finished a track with Ali Vegas. Gotta watch out for that too. I know he's like a highly anticipated rapper, but he never really came out with a full album. This is gonna be his first full album. I'm gonna be on the album, and that's pretty cool to me. I'm building up my catalog right now. I'm just being creative and not even really thinking about a full album just yet. I feel like you only really have to worry about that if you're really set on, putting yourself out there as an independent artist. But right now I'm just kind of being creative. I'm putting myself out there obviously, but not really keeping any sort of not keeping within any sort of confines, just so I can kind of do my own thing and not have to worry about things like that. Yeah, it's coming out. It's coming out. It's coming out soon. But for now, I'm just creating and sharing, and I hope you guys like what you see. Mostly singing. Do a little bit of dancing from here to there. I actually do Bhangra. I did that in college. I know it's kind of off the wall a little bit. I do traditional Chinese dance, and I do hip hop. So just trying to get some dance lessons in. I feel like, as a performer, it's really good to be sort of well-rounded, and really perform. I feel like being physical and being able to dance and being able to act and still having an awesome voice makes you a much better overall performer than if you were just on stage singing, even though, that's great. But I guess like Lady Gaga says, I guess I'm the same way. I'm more of a performer than just a straight up singer, but sometimes that's a little more fun, a little more interesting, and that's how I see myself.